You said in an anxious age, even educated believers seem now to lack the words with which to express a principled defense of American freedom, American religion, and American exceptionalism. Is that still true?
Oh, it is more true now, 10 years later, than it was then. What's decayed is our shared vocabulary. I will say this, and it's a way to connect what you just said with what I had to say. Technically speaking, truth and falsity are modalities that attach to propositions, meaning there is no truth outside of language in the technical meaning of truth, right? They adhere to, as modalities, to propositions. The sky is blue.
I believe personally, again, that faith is involved in any knowledge. There's an element of faith in it, which would agree with what you're saying.
Well, and what
but
you,
Ben, I don't want to get you out of your flow.
That's belief, right?
Yeah,
and knowledge, says Plato, is justified true belief, and how we understand truth there is interesting. But ultimately, truth and falsity have to do with language, right? There is no truth outside of language. There's no falsity outside of language. Even when it's used analogically, as we say that Christ is the way, the truth, and the light, truth there, even that's an analogical use because he's not a proposition. But even there,
all right, let me. You said I could interrupt you,
sure, yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm gonna give you a thought experiment. We dropped Jody into a jungle, and there are no other human beings. There's no one to talk with. But you have to survive. You know, you get hungry, you get thirsty.
Yeah.
You aren't talking to anyone. There is no language. What is truth in that situation?
Yeah, there's no truth, because truth, I'm not talking to anybody. Truth is only in language, right? There is reality, and if I make a proposition about it, that proposition will be true. But there's no, truth. And as I said, even if we use it analogically, right? If you say, well, the truth is live or, kill or be killed, right? Well, that's the proposition, and you're saying it's true, and then, but even if you're saying something is, the stone is the truth, that analogical use, for instance, in the Gospel of John, occurs in a gospel whose prologue begins that Christ is the Word. Even the analogical use of truth there is tied to language. I emphasize this point about language, not because I'm making some strict British analytic philosopher's point about, technical philosophy, but because we have to share these things. We live in community, and the truths that we speak are spoken. And they exist within a society. They exist with others. This is not relativism. It's not, a denial of objective truth. It is to say, we learn a way to look at the world. We learn worldviews.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And we learn them out of community, and some are better than others.
Yes.
And some are more complete than others. But they are all shared.
Yes.
And it's meaningless to say, I have an unshared truth, and it's worse because it tempts one to the kind of relativism that has eaten up a lot of our public discourse, where you say, well, it's true for me.